my meds for 5 months now, and I got a spiritual connection. I'm here to take over. Get used to it.
Your personality was not like this a few years ago.
It's a calling by the universe.
We could talk about that later, but...
It ain't no but.
And it hurt everybody around you. They just not up enough to tell you.
Did you have an effect on my mental health?
Yes, and I love you.
It's very easy to slip and all this up.
Never tell me I'm gonna wake up one day and have nothing. When I went to the hospital, one of the ideas was to do a church.
Yeah, I just been embarrassed or ashamed to cry, man.
How about lighting the world up?
We're at the prisons professing how Jesus can set you free.
This is a mission, not a show.
It's true.
And I to make you laugh, to respect you, I'll always be there for you.
Thank you, Jesus. It is revealed. I decided to run.
Kim has officially filed for divorce.
We inside current slavery, we just more expensive now. Either they destroy me or I destroy it. I have to show an example of a non-perfect black celeb that still wins. Should I have blown up the Gap shit?
It's a sad dream that's not ending.
Should I have blown up the Adidas shit? But the answer is yes.
They're killing us with McDonald's. They're killing our ability to think outside of the box. I write whatever I want, when I want. It's words.
Best thing about being an artist, being bipolar, is anything you do and say is an art piece.
We will say what we feel. We will do what we feel. Boom, there you go. That was the trailer for In Whose Name, in theaters right now. It's your boy KUYA P. This is Nerds Rule the World. Joining me to talk all things In Whose Name is director Nico Ballesteros. Thank you so much for your time today, Nico. How are you?
Good, sir. Thank you for having me.
Awesome, man. Well, again, thank you for your time. I know you were doing a lot of traveling before you had this conversation with me. So thank you for weathering all of that and giving me some of that time when I'm sure you want to relax. But we need to talk about this film, man. You put in a lot of work because I live in the DC area. I have a lot of friends that do a lot of documentaries. It's a lot of work. It's a extreme responsibility. I'm sure there was thousands of footage. I think when I read the background on this, you've been involved with all of this since like the age of 19, if I'm not mistaken. You were in like high school, right?
18.
Wow. Yeah, don't let me not shave off a year. You've been working. So let's start there. How did you get involved to be the documentarian for Ye?
Well, I was in a program at the Orange County School of the Arts, which was a high school. It's a conservatory-based high school, public charter situation. And, a lot of other kids studied dance and integrated arts, visual arts, but I studied film. And I originally went there because I was looking to have a competitive edge, someone who was originally, wanting to go to something like USC Film School, wanting to make sure that I had a better shot at something like that. But halfway through the curriculum at the Orange County School of the Arts, I took a documentary class and I was very moved by it. And I felt like it was a way for me to go experience the real world and be of service as someone who's coming of age as an observer, so that I could shape an understanding of myself and the world around me in order to eventually extract from my own life experience to pull something for an original scripted film, or like as a director to interpret something more appropriately. I knew that I didn't have the wherewithal to really tell something from within yet. I had to go live life, and I felt like documentary was the way to do that. So, I emailed some entrepreneurs at the time, like Nolan Bushnell, who created Atari and gave Steve Jobs his first job, because I was reading Walter Isaacson's book on Steve Jobs, and I kind of was familiar with that. And unfortunately, he was busy because they were doing the second Steve Jobs movie at the time. So I kept looking, and I kind of shifted from entrepreneurs to, well, Ye is an entrepreneur, but I kind of shifted from pure entrepreneurship within the tech spectrum into that of culture. And the way that I kind of got an awareness of that was a group of friends, or rather a group of kids at my high school that I became friends with. And, it was very cliquey. It was kind of like I went to an art high school, right? So we didn't have like football, but it was kind of like the equivalent of like trying to be a part of the varsity clique. And, they were like wearing Supreme and Raf Simons and all these different like clothing brands that were adjacent to Ye. And I think one kid even had the original Adidas Yeezy shoe, like before the 350. Forgot what it was called. But anyways, so I started to hang out with them, and they took me, we ditched class and we went to the AMC theater where we basically saw Ye do a live stream from the Madison Square Garden here in New York. I'm here in New York right now. And, it was a Yeezy Season 3 fashion show mixed with a listening of his Life of Pablo album. And I just saw like the zeitgeist of it all, right? And I saw how, you know, there was someone that was filming him on a VHS camera, and his name is Tyler. And since then, he's gone on to do things with Travis Scott. He did the Travis Scott documentary, Look Ma, I Could Fly, on Netflix. But at the time, I was aware of all these different synchronicities, like Lucas Sabat meeting like the at the time upper echelon of like a Naomi Campbell, all in the same setting, right? And then you have all the musicians going on at once. So I was like, okay, this seems like a zeitgeist that I could inject myself into and, tell a story. And I was very moved by it. And slowly but surely, because of Instagram, this was like 2015, 16, 17, post Tumblr, it was like this aesthetic democratization of like celebrity because of the influencer and like the need for content. So there were so many roles and responsibilities from creative directors, stylists, photographers, personal videographers that were emerging. So it was like a new like a market. It was a new marketplace, right? So long story short, I kind of just like found myself a part of that world. And I'm actually in New York right now because I'm going to see the film with the people of New York, with the people that I actually started to formulate my early relationships with culture with. So Virgil Abloh did this collaboration with these kids called the Spaghetti Boys, like this kid Austin Kerwin and like these other guys like Mike the Ruler, very deep lore. But if you Google these people, you'll get an understanding. They're all connected to people like Ian Connor or ASAP Rocky and all these like kind of points of contact that someone like Kanye was pulling from in like 2016. Lucas Sabat was a part of the Spaghetti Boys. So that's essentially how I became a part of the world organically as a young person. And then by the time I was like ready to graduate, Ye goes to the hospital. I have this whole like reinterpretation of what it is. Like I'm like, oh, this is much more psychological. I start also having like senioritis and like, armchair psychologists like points of view. Like, oh, all of a sudden I'm like reading like Carl Jung and like Sigmund Freud and Friedrich Nietzsche. And like, so I'm like aware of like, even though I'm young and like, you know, like maybe like ill-equipped in a lot of ways, I'm aware of like the task at hand for as best as I could understand it. So I knew it was a mixture of culture, but also like the spiritual, psychological elements of like mental health. And as we saw, once I got in there, which was just a process of people connecting me organically, yay, like wanting someone to film. And then there's this kid who's like not only a part of culture, but someone who like studied it from this like high school in Orange County. So it's like the two kind of added together. Um, I went into that kind of knowing what I was signing up for. And like we kind of like, even though I filmed for months on end without even having dialogue, he knew that I was like understanding the cultural through lines, but also like the deeper psychological through lines. And that was just through mere like engagement of like body language and things like that. Because I was studying the most minute aspects of like conversations between like Elon Musk and Ye and Spike Jones and Ye, not just what they were saying, but like how these moguls are connecting on a human level behind the scenes.
Dope, bro. This whole time as you're talking, and my whole thing after watching this and learning how young you are, and I'm sure you probably get this like because you're a young cat in this industry with a lot of older heads, and I'm an old filmmaker. I've been in the game. I have so much respect off of just that response to this question because I saw through what you were saying. You're smart, but you have a passion, and the love shines through in the appreciation, but the respect is all there. I'm like, now I see why Ye scooped this cat and now had you involved with it. So just amazing answer there, right there, man. I'm just when you can see talent, it shines, and it shines through what you're saying. So, all right, so okay, but you're a young kid. So day one, you're signed on board. You're documenting. Can you tell me what that was like? You know, obviously you already know who you are. You know what your objective. You're trying to create and just film this person and collect. You know, and record. Was there any nervousness because you seem so spot on, but also you're still a young cat, or even if you weren't a cat,
Yeah.
you can be an old head but never done this before. Was there any nervousness? You know what I'm saying? Like, what was that like day one, and then how did it gradually become comforting? But then also you're in personal moments. There's an amazing scene in here where you're covering Kim K, you know, having a conversation with them about their family and all of that.
Right.
You're in these very private moments that we get to see in this. So what was that comfort level for you from the jump off, and then how gradually did it become a little
Sure.
bit easier?
Sure. So, you know, I get to Calabasas, right? It's majestic. I'm driving on the, 101, and, we kind of go over this hill, and you see, it's sunset, you see kind of the rolling hills, Santa Monica Mountain region on the left, and you kind of see Virgenes right here, and you see Lasky Mesa over there. It's very like biblical in a way, right? And we get off on Las Virgenes, we hang a quick right, and boom, we're at this place that I've seen for so many years now, having studied culture, people like Tremaine Emory and like just different people like outside of this office with Ye. It's the Calabasas one with the like kind of stones, and it's like in a lot of ways a Mecca, right? And I go inside, and the only instruction I have essentially is just like, hey, start filming now, and basically whenever you see Ye, don't take your camera off of him. And the night prior, I had spent like running around, San Bernardino County and Crenshaw and East LA, like finding these VHS cameras that could record night vision, because that was the only instruction. Maybe we suggest you getting some vintage cameras, because at the time, like Gabe was using a lot of VHS, like I told you with Tyler at Madison Square Garden, but also the work that Tyler did with Eli Russell, who was the director of The Fade and the famous music video. They were like shot on these like Hi8/VHS cameras and night vision. So anyways, that was kind of like the aesthetic. So I was like also like, even as a documentarian, not only was I assimilating to culture, but I was also like becoming like a textural like chameleon to like the world of Ye, like the aesthetic, like, education. Anyway, so like I'm inside, I'm filming, cameras glued to my face, my left eye's closed, so I have no peripheral. I'm like living the experience through this, 2000s tape recorder camera with this like green night vision going on. Everyone's eyes are like, looking like it's like National Geographic, because it's like this like effect of night vision. And you know I'm kind of filming this setup, and then boom, all of a sudden they're like, okay, Ye's outside. I go out to the parking lot, boom, he's eating a taco from Taco Bell on the back of the Maybach with Eli Russell, the guy I mentioned earlier, the director of those two music videos, and a photographer, Pierre Snaps. And then he walks in, and within like 10 minutes, he's talking to this one designer, Willow Perone. Boom, whip pan. Next thing you know, Elon Musk. And I'm like in awe, not of Elon Musk, but of the fact that someone like Elon Musk isn't even acknowledging my presence. And even though I understand this is an event because it was like this private concert, Ye wasn't performing, this other artist, Francis and Lice, was performing, you know, sure, there's like event videographers, like it's a wedding or a bar mitzvah or like, what have you, or a quinceañera, like people have event videographers, but this is different. Obviously, this is not those things. This is like something very intimate and presence. I didn't really understand. I wasn't nervous, but I didn't understand the tango yet. And I remember my only instruction was, other than just like to not stop filming, was like, don't film Frank Ocean. And I was just shooting this wide shot, and Frank Ocean came up to me and was like, "Yo, don't film." Very polite about it. Didn't even know it was him because, like, the cameras from like the early 2000s, I can't make out who's who across the room. But it made me realize, like, not only am I here to like just omnisciently document, but there is like a tango to who I am behind this camera, whether
Yeah.
I like it or not. It didn't make me nervous, but it made me like respect the role of like a journalist
Yeah.
within like this level of access.
Yeah. Amazing, amazing. As you were talking and again in talking about that, and this again, you're getting such an amazing access that is hard to get. I think all of us can speak on that, especially with a person on this level, if you will, right? I was curious because again, you were in high school. And this whole film was over many years, right? I'm curious. Okay, you're being called. You're working on with Ye. You're documenting. You're flying everywhere. You're getting all this, but also you still had to finish high school. And then I don't know if like did you decide after senior year that you go to college yet, or are you still working? Like what was Nico's life outside of this? Because I'm
No,
curious
no.
how this all went down.
Well, I started this 6 months after I graduated high school, but 6 months before doing this, I was sitting in the principal's office, and they were like, you're not gonna walk a graduation, because I
Wow.
wasn't turning in any of my assignments because I was busy in LA linking up with the OGs who were like running culture like with Ye, and like whether they're like music producers or like video directors, like whoever, right? And it wasn't so much just about like I'm trying to get into Ye's circle. Of course there was an aspect of that, but it was more so like a passion for the Renaissance period that Virgil Abloh talked about that occurred in 2015, 16, 17, 18. Like, you got to think like SoundCloud rap, streetwear meeting high-end fashion. Like, there was just so much going on. Ye was a piece of that, but it was also me finding a place in the world outside of, high school. So, you know, those 6 months between me I did end up walking at graduation. I turned into senior film, and because again, I was in this art program, so I had a senior film. I walk at graduation, and then between the 6 months, I was just kind of like researching a lot. I was just at an internship. So Justin Staple is an editor and a co-executive producer of In Whose Name. Justin Staple was the man behind Noisy, the channel with Vice, right? So that
Yeah.
was a part of my curriculum in not only understanding documentary filmmaking, but like it was a way to kind of like keep up to date with culture at the time from like 2013 to 2017. So Justin had some friends who had left Vice and created this like branded content company that had partnered with um like a company that like did a lot of like nice office in Santa Monica. Connected to them through someone who I was doing a lot of music videos with while I was in high school, someone who was like a part of like the world star kind of hip hop world. So I get connected to these people that left Vice, created their branded content studio.
All right. So Nico, as we've been talking, man, I've been just thinking you're a young cat, you're in high school, you're off doing this, you come back from this, am I off to college? But also this has to be the most priceless education in the world to be rocking with Ye, meeting the people around him, and just also some of the people you were mentioning with like Vice and all of that. Just you can't pay for this going to school. Although, I still promote school. Everybody should go to, film school and all that or whatever. But this is priceless education that you were getting and doing that. Do you feel that in regards to this whole experience?
Absolutely. I mean, that was the whole thing for me when I started this journey. I wasn't even consciously thinking overtly about the documentary in of itself. I was more so aware of the fact that I was able to observe people in their true element. So, I didn't really allow myself to feel into the identity of this responsibility initially. Meaning, like, I told my parents, like, don't tell people that I'm doing this. I didn't really go and tell like homies that I was doing this unless if they were really like with me, you know what I mean? Like I didn't really assume the role because the preciousness of it, like the truthful like aspect of it, at least in the beginning, was I I can't lie, it was like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with the golden ticket. Like that is what it or that was what it was. So I was clocking creativity, at unprecedented levels. And I was receiving that education without a shadow of doubt, seeing how Spike Jones could, you know, manifest an idea within like 30 minutes, seeing, the director of 12 Years a Slave do a pitch to Ye on a music video. Um, and then other industries too. It wasn't just like being able to like observe people in my own industry, but just even seeing that musicians, fashion designers, or even like a politician and clocking the information. I remember Jim Brown came into the office, you know what I mean? And I was like observing this meeting between Ye and Jim Brown. And for the first 6 months, it was pure education. Absolutely.
Love it, love it. And I'm sure the confidence that helps build by doing that, and being in the White House, being with all of these different people, should have informed you as a creative that I can fucking do this. Excuse my language. And I'm in the room. So, I guess post that and to where we're at now, you're promoting this film. We want everybody to go check it out. Like, I'm curious where you're going to go from here, in a lot of ways. And so once you got in post, and I need to talk on that because I'm just, and it boggles my mind the amount of tape and everything to put this film together, go through that, find that through line, and it was so well done. You let the material speak for itself. You didn't kind of put anything in it. It felt very impartial. You allowed the moments to speak for itself. And let me speak on that because again, I want to know where my man Nico's going. This education, because damn, bro, like you had the most amazing education. You learn from legends. You're building out your legend. But before I get to that, tell me, going through the hours of all of this footage, finding that through line, and also again having that responsibility of not being the voice to put your to create a narrative for others, to allow them to find their own narrative, and that impartiality, and how important that was for you to kind of
Yeah.
give it like that.
100% in the sense that, people always were telling me to keep a journal. And the truth was, I just didn't have time because I really began filming at like 7, 8 a.m., right? So I'm up between 6 and 7 every day. And then I'm filming till, I mean, you know how it is, like 1 a.m., right? Like they're in the studio after the end of the day or whatever it is. The studio, by the way, is right here where I'm at right now, the Mercer in New York, or like the Chateau Marmont in LA. Like the studio is wherever you're at that level. Like you don't go into a studio. And even if you do, the studio sessions do, like if you're at Electric Lady here in New York, you're there till like 2, 3. I mean, bro, we were at Electric Lady. You see it in the film when Swizz is talking to him. Like I need people to understand this. We were at Electric Lady from like, I don't know, let's just say like 6, 7 p.m. till 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 9 a.m. And then from Electric Lady, we went straight to SNL, no sleep. So SNL happened straight from Electric Lady. You know what I'm saying? Jimi Hendrix studio. So that's really what we were on around the clock. So I didn't have time to keep a journal. So when I actually like removed myself, not just from Ye's circle, because everyone's like, man, there is not like vultures. It's like, bro, I had to remove myself from culture and society and Ye's verse to edit this film because I tried with all the might in me to cut the picture as I was a part of culture, but there was no way I could film and edit it. I had to submit.
Yeah.
So, I left not just culture, but I left society. I moved out to the jungle. I lived in the jungle in Costa Rica for a year and I watched all 3,000 hours back. And throughout that process, it was like reading my journal. Like I remembered I was able to like transport myself to the 6-9 session that happened 4 doors down here at the Mercer with Ye in the corner suite. We were 6-9, he's recording, boom, we leave, we walk downstairs, we go to Central Park for Ralph Lauren 50th anniversary. Like that level of juxtaposition was happening every day. And so when I reviewed the footage, it was really much like me like tapping into my own like Akashic records of sorts. And, ultimately the reflections surmounted into like a point of view that is there. And that is why I chose the observational mode of documentary filmmaking. And, some people are like, oh, it's just like a string out of clips. It's like, yeah, like that is what it is. But I was aware of that. I was aware of like the fact that I was choosing an archaic mode of documentary filmmaking in this day and age of Netflix. And there's no diss to those platforms, but at this time, we are spoon-fed the narrative with Netflix. You know what I mean? With like Octopus Teacher and like the David Beckham documentary. But I chose to do like a Werner Herzog, Eleanor Coppola, level documentary. And that wasn't from pretension. That was just a mixture of what I personally was inspired by, what Ye and I spoke about on some like not controlling the narrative, but on some pure like inspiration at the highest level. Like when we would watch movies, those were the movies we watched. You know what I mean? Like Fitzcarraldo and like this film about a man who it's a Werner Herzog film. It takes place in the Amazon, in the rainforest, and it's about a man who wants to create an opera in the Amazon. And in order to get to the point that they're trying to get to, they try to move a boat over a mountain. And that happened in real life. Like they literally were moving a boat over a mountain in the Amazon, and like people got injured. And that's like a real film. And there's a documentary about that with the director Herzog making the documentary. So that being an inspiration mixed with Aviator and There Will Be Blood and these were the films, A Beautiful Mind that I was aware of when I went into this, but it required me to remove myself completely from not just society but culture to make this kind of feat. And also to add, it's unfortunate because with the leakers and all this kind of stuff, people feel like things have been seen, but the truth is the distillation of it all isn't about it being resonant within the last 4 to 6 years of the fans. It's more so about doing justice to the cultural relic that this product is to the 50 years from now version of culture. In the same way that when I go and watch like the 60s version of, John F.K. on the campaign trail or on his, journey before he was even president, there's this documentary on John F. Kennedy, purely verite, observational. They didn't even know he was going to become John F. Kennedy. That's why I made this film in the way I made it without like overimpose. I had deals on the table, bro. I had deals. I had people trying to come in and like do the streaming thing with and like that could still happen. I got 3,000 hours, but this version I wanted to make not just for culture but for cinema.
My guy, bro. I gotta tell you, as an old head, I'll just say, I know I'm old. You make me so proud just hearing you talk right now because of your consciousness for the arts and what you're trying to do with your work, your responsibility that you have with the work that you're trying to do and what you had access to do and bring. So salute, bro, salute. So as you said, so this piece of art that the question also that came to mind as you were talking is, again, hours of footage but this is what you wanted to bring this to the forefront right now. You can go back to that. And as a fan like myself of material like this, you know, I want a miniseries. I want to know more. Like I wanted to
Yeah, we're
expand on
doing
Act
that.
One or
We're
expand
doing
on Act
that.
Two.
We're doing that. We're doing
And I
that.
love to hear that.
But you know, the thing everyone has to understand is like, look, the cat's out of the bag. There's an elephant in the room to address. It's not easy making a film about a subject in this current time with
Yeah.
what has been said and what has been done.
Yes. I
So any
completely agree. And that's another
time
question I want to pose to you later.
the streamer would have came in, 100%, because the fans are like, look, you guys got to understand, anytime a streamer came to the table, they weren't going to give this story justice. We see what kind of stories streamers like to make when there's any level of controversy, and I wasn't on that time. But with that being said, I wasn't trying to make a fluff piece either. I wanted to make something truthful. I wanted to make something observational. I didn't want it to be a hit piece, nor did I want it to be a fluff piece. I wanted to make a purely observational documentary. And that is contrarian to the current mode of documentary filmmaking, with a million interviews and a voiceover from an A-list talent like Morgan Freeman. So to make something like this is controversial because it's not widely accepted as the current mode of documentary filmmaking. And I have nothing to, you know, lose for doing it that way other than, you know, maybe some criticism, but I have everything to gain in the sense of integrity and credibility for not being accosted or, or compromised. So with that being said, you know, of course there's so much more to tell, but we had a Trojan horse situation, my bro. We had to go through theatrical mode of releasing this film, which is, you know, not the most commercially viable by any stretch of the means, but it's the beginning of the conversation to open it up to wider, you know, depths, or wider depths is a bit of an oxymoron, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got, you know, studios sending me scripts right now for narrative films, you know, big studios. But with all that being said, I know I owe more to this story, but I'm looking for the right partners to do that series because I need to maintain as much control as possible, G. Like it's
I,
just that's what it is.
I love that, bro. I love that. Yeah. So it was like, so you, from what I'm understanding, then you always knew this was going to be the runtime for right now. You know, that it wasn't going to be a long.
My first cut was like 6 hours.
Oh
My
shit!
first cut was 6 hours. I told Ye back in 2021, I was like, minimum, this is Godfather. This is like, this is an epic. This is 3 hours.
Hell yeah!
But the masses can't sit in the theater for 3 hours. And no streamer was going to allow me to play how I wanted to play. So we had to Trojan horse it for now.
My God.
But it's not up to me. Everyone's like, Nico this, Nico that. Bro, I'm 26, bro. The industry like is ran by like people in their 60s, bro. So it's like I could only do so much. You know, Nico, why isn't it in Brazil? Bro, like if I could put it in Brazil, I would. Like I could only do so much, but every day I'm on the phone, you know, talking to reps. Like I'm, you know, we out here. We looking to expand not just the screen count, not just the viewer count, but the story. There's more to tell. You know what I mean?
Love it, man. Love it, Nico. I love that attitude and I love that knowledge you have for this industry
And that's an
how to go about it.
exclusive. I haven't even spit that fact yet.
All right, so you're out in New York promoting this joint. Man, I love your energy, bro, and I love where your mind is going and what you have planned with this. But looking back at this, so you're obviously promoting this. What has the vibe been from that camp? I don't know if you're still in his camp. And obviously you have all this other stuff that may or may not be controversial later on. I'm sure it'll be something. What is that relationship now? I guess that's the thing.
No, the controversies dealt with. The controversies then and there. Like I'm not looking to provide more annotations to the controversy. I think at this juncture, it's more so a balance because we had to meet the people where they're at. We had to meet the audience where they're at. So at this juncture, it's not about providing more annotations to the controversy. It's actually the inverse of that. It's more so balancing it out with more of the creativity, but the creativity requires so much context. Like it's very tangential, it's very like vignette-esque. So it requires a different format. I don't know if the creative elements can exist in pure verite form. I tried. They don't really land. It's too sporadic, you know. So I think I'll have to explore other mediums of documentary filmmaking to kind of tell some of those stories. But yeah, I mean, we're working on that stuff now. And regarding me and Ye, we're straight, bro. I mean, like that's at the end of the day, I spoke about this before. Ye is in like the top three of the people that I spent the most time in my life with. It's probably like my mom and my dad and Ye. So
Wow.
at the end of the day, it's like no one can deny that. No one can take that away from me. I've always said this, like the whole point of the documentary is to observe and feel the human beneath the idol. And yeah, I got a lot of empathy and I've learned so much creatively. Like I quoted the process being beautiful because I wouldn't have been able to make this film if it weren't for me observing his creative process and the people that he brought around to creatively execute ideas out of the ether into not only just like great ideas, but commercially viable ones, right? Like
Yeah.
extremely commercially viable. So, you know, we're number one documentary in America right now. I wouldn't have been able to do that if it weren't for someone like Ye being the person that I observed for 6 years straight.
Yeah, amazing. I love your attitude. I love your mindset about all this. I was a huge fan of Ye. I still am a fan of Ye, but it's a complicated relationship that I think the culture and a lot of us do now because of what has transpired and everything. And I love how this kind of reminded me of the humanity of him, but also it also informed me about some of the other things that were happening and why I still have some reservations about Ye. But you cannot deny this guy, and I feel again empathetic towards his different struggles. And I just think this is an amazing documentary, Nico. But knowing your story behind this is also uh, very interesting, and I'm very jelly of what you've been able to accomplish. And now speaking with you, where you're going to go from here. So again, I'm gonna remind everybody in whose name is out right now. Go check it out. But I want to know what my man Nico Ballesteros is going to be doing from here. Obviously, like you said, you're gonna you've got this out there. There's a possible other avenues you could show with this. But like you know, you were always a film head. You wanted to go into film school. You had the blessing of being with Ye making this documentary, but I'm sure the stories out you're behind that you want to tell, both maybe even narratively and also documentary wise. Can you tell me where your head's at and what goals or what we can see
Yeah,
from Nico in
yeah.
the future?
100%. I mean, you know, I've been getting a lot of inbound doc stuff right now, right? And the truth of the matter is that I did this documentary as a one-off, like knowing that it's like I spoke about earlier, something that I re was required to do to understand the world and to grow and become of age. I didn't have life experience to extract from to create original IP or even interpret pre-existing scalable IP. Now I'm open to doing other documentaries if the subject and I connected on a level that merited such unprecedented levels of access. And there are a few. There are a few like A-list celebrities that have spoken to me about it, two to be exact. Big ones, maybe as big, if not bigger than Ye, actually. But I know what it entails, right? Like it's years and years and years of service, and I'm down for that. However, I also have two screenplays that I've been sent from two major studios that are obviously scripted that I'm heavily considering, both of which being in line to what I just experienced with Ye. One that's more mythological and one that's more like kind of in like the world of finance. and kind of imagine like a 300 on one end and then like an alchemist or the giver on the other. And then the third aspect of it is like I'm also writing my own screenplay. I'm also like not waiting on anyone or anything. I have now my own story to tell. So we shall see, but there's definitely a lot of conversation going on right now. And the best thing that I could do is maintain peace and stillness and discernment and pray, because I got like 4 options on the table right now, plus my own. And I'll probably decide within the next, 6 to 8 months what that is that I'm going to sink my teeth in and rock out.
Hell yeah. Nico, man. Again, I'm going to tell you again, brother, from an old head to a young head, you make me proud of what my industry is going to be doing in the future and evolving and showing that love and appreciation. That's just super dope, man. And I just want to tell you that I hope you challenge yourself. Don't get complacent, because again, a lot of us get comfortable. Oh, I know I could just make this money and travel this route, that because people are already coming that way. Challenge yourself, brother, because that'll keep that creative engine running, and you need to keep that going, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right, Nico, thank you so much for your time,
sir.
brother. I truly appreciate you, man. I'm going to be checking in. I hope you'll come back, talk to me as you go on your journey, and we can talk up some of these projects that you're doing, man. It's been a lot of fun talking with you today, man.
No, I'm here, bro. I vibe with you, bro. I'm down. Let's chop it up in the future.
My guy, Nico Ballesteros. And for all those watching, I'm sure, as you could tell by this interview, we had some internet issues. It might have been on my end, and my apologies. I'll put a little disclaimer in there. But I stuck in this conversation because Nico is the fucking man, bro. Like, I'm so proud of this cat. This documentary was so entertaining and so insightful. And my brother, I appreciate you so much, man. Everybody, director Nico Ballesteros. I'm gonna have his links in the description below. Support this brother. Go check out this film, In Whose Name, in theaters right now. It's your boy KUYA P. This is Nerds Rule the World.
Nerds rule the world.
Pleasure chatting with you. Love to all my nerds who rule the world.
Yeah. Nerds rule the world.
Yes, we do.
Thanks. Nerds rule the world. Thank you.
I love the nerds ruling the world, so more power to you.
Patrick, what up, man? And yes, they do. Nerds rule the world, kid.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Awesome. KUYA P, Nerds Rule the World. Hello.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Oh,
Nerds rule the world.
I got.
It's in the title of your show, like Nerds rule the world. Like, I want more Black weirdos on screen, and I don't feel like we ever get to see that very much.
Thank you so much. Nerds do rule the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Nerds rule. Love
it. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Julie.
Yes, yes.
Rock on. I love it. Thank you so much.
It's good to see you. I love Nerds Rule the World.
But yeah, there's a heavy nerd component, man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you ask me, nerds rule the world. So
absolutely.
And you're right. Nerds do rule the world.
We're just the best.
Yes. Nerds do rule the world. I agree.
We do.
I agree.
We're awesome, aren't we?
Thank you,
ladies.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
And nerds really do rule the world.
Thank you, sir. It's your boy KUYA P, Nerds Rule the World. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
Do. They rule the world, all right.
Yes. Take care, Tony. Thank you, guys.
Well, I was good until I saw that this is Nerds Rule the World. So are we talking about, like, everybody you interview is a nerd, right?
Oh, it's a legal requirement. It
It's a
is.
legal requirement.
Yeah.
Or are you, or the second you popped on screen, I was like, wait, are you supposed to be the queen nerd then?
I hope so. My handle is Heather is a nerd, so I am a professional at least.
Okay. But then you enter that whole question of like, well, if you're calling yourself a nerd, are you really a nerd? True nerd, would they call them? I don't know. I'm going to start going cross-eyed.
Going to psychoanalyze this a little bit.
Yeah.
How's it going?
Hi.
There we go. Hello, sir.
Hey, sir. How's it going?
I am wonderful. Thanks for the time.
Of course. Thank you.
Poster in the background. I'm going to pop off. I also have a poster. So let me know if this is okay. If not, I can pop completely off. I can pop completely off, actually.
Yeah, well, yeah, were you going to, unless you were trying to be a part of the conversation? Okay, no worries.
All right. Bye, guys. Have fun. Bye,
Thank
Nico.
you.
Good to see you.
Awesome. Nicholas, or is it Nicholas or Nico? What would you prefer?
We can go with Nico, yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I'll go with Nico, and is it Ballesteros?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. I can brutalize names. Want to make sure I get it right. Okay, so thank you again for your time. In my edit, we're going to be coming off of the trailer. So I'm already hitting record. Did I hit record already? You know what? Let me hit stop and record. There we go. So I'm going to do a 3, 2, 1 in just a second. We'll be coming off of the trailer. I'm going to introduce myself, introduce you, and we'll get right into the conversation on how you spent a large amount of your time, and I'm sure a lot of time in editing, because the amount of footage that you put together to assemble this had to be a Herculean task. Yeah, and we'll talk all about it, man.
Herculean. Cool. Let's do it.
All right, we are recording. Let's have some fun. Oh, and it's already in theaters. Yeah, already in theaters. All right, here we go. In a 1, 2, 3.